Hey guys, Jack here from NothingButTech, and the HTC 10 has been out for a while, but I'm just now getting my hands on it. But I asked you guys on Twitter, I do a bunch of polls in there to get input on what you guys want to see in the channel. Linked in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, I asked you guys, and 70 or 80% of you guys said you wanted to see a live unboxing of the HTC 10. So here it is, per your request. A full review will be out in about a month or so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not. But yeah, let's get into the box of the HTC 10. I'm really excited to see what HTC brought this year, as the M9 last year was a slight disappointment. Alright, let's get right into it. Okay, so here we go. On the front, we just have HTC 10 and Verizon. This is a Verizon phone, so huge shout out to them for sending this out. But yeah, the box is pretty simple. It has a nice texture on it. And then flipping over to the back, we have a bunch of other logos. And then it also shows some specifications, like the fact that it has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. That's pretty regular for flagships coming out this year. And then it also has a 5.2-inch Quad HD display. Definitely gonna have to check out how that looks. But I've heard pretty good things about it. It has 4 GB of RAM and micro SD card expansion. Now this year, micro SD card expansion has come back. I personally don't use it that much, but for people that do use it, this is the year of expansion again. So I'm pretty happy to see that HTC is also following that trend along with Samsung and LG. We have a 12 megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture, laser autofocus, and then HTC Ultra Pixel with optical image stabilization. The camera's always been kind of a weak point of the HTC phone, so we're definitely gonna have to check out how that performs, and I'll let you guys know how that performs over time as well. We have a 5 megapixel front facing camera with optical image stabilization as well. That's pretty cool. You don't really see that a lot on front facing cameras. We have an f1.8 aperture on that as well. Then, this is interesting and we will be taking a look at it. HTC is still claiming that they have boom sound, but it's not 2 front-facing speakers anymore, so I'm super interested in checking that out, as that's one of my favorite features of the HTC M lineup. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't do it, but maybe I'll be really surprised and it will actually sound really good, so we're definitely gonna have to check that out for sure. We also have high-res audio. I think that this does include a high-end DAC, but I will be sure to let you guys know in my full review if that's true or not. Of course, we have Wi-Fi, 4G, LTE, NFC, we have a fingerprint reader, then we have Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0, and then Type-C for charging it. So a lot of manufacturers this year are switching towards USB Type-C, so it's becoming more popular, and I'm definitely a fan of that. But until a bigger brand like Apple does it, I don't think we're going to see as many accessories, and it kind of makes it a flaw of the device in some cases, because there's cables are not as mainstream, and you can't just charge your device anywhere like you can with micro USB or Lightning. Okay, so anyways, that's like the quick overview of the box, but let's actually take a look at it. So let's slide this shell off, and then take a look at the actual box. Okay, here's the phone. Let's pop it out and then take a look at everything else. Okay, so down here we just have a little pamphlet. I'm assuming that this just includes the manuals and stuff, and it does. Pretty cool, put that aside. So in this pouch we have the wall wart and then the Type-C cable with Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0. And I think that's it. Anyways, yeah, so that's pretty standard stuff. Let's put it away and take a closer look at the phone. Okay, so here's the phone. This actually feels pretty phenomenal in the hands. HTC is notoriously known for having amazing phone builds. I think I'm gonna say it, this is probably the best built phone in 2016 that I've held in terms of metal phones. When compared to the LG G5, which we looked at last week, it feels so much better in the hand, and it really kind of puts this build quality to shame. HTC definitely got that right. Okay, so it feels great, and another thing I really love about it is this huge chamfer. It doesn't appear as well on camera as it actually looks in person. It's a lot more subtle in person, but wow, I really love the build of this phone. Definitely feels heavy, a little bit thicker, but it feels great, and the form factor is perfect for like one-handing your phone. Okay, so in terms of what we have on the bottom, we have a USB Type-C port, and then one part of the boom sound speakers, one part down here, and then the other part up here instead of the typical front-facing speakers. But yeah, let's turn on this phone. Just really can't get over how good it feels in the hand. And as this is booting up, just taking a quick tour, we have our fingerprint sensor down here, our front-facing 5 megapixel camera, then our back shooting camera. We're definitely gonna have to check out how this actually performs. Both of them have optical image stabilization, as I was saying before. And then on the right-hand side, we have our textured power button and then our volume up and down button. The texture on these feels great, and these buttons feel tactile. Okay, so as this device continues to boot up, I do want to say that I really cannot get over this build. The HTC One M9 had a great build also, but it was very similar to the M8, so it wasn't as impressive. But the HTC 10 really refines the build, and the chamfer is so subtle, but it just really looks nice. It makes this phone look really premium. In comparison to like other flagships that came out this year with metal builds, this one definitely gives all of them a run for their money. It feels so good in the hand, even though it does have a little bit of heft to it. Just feels really good in the hand, and it's also easy to hold in one hand, which cannot be said about a bunch of other devices that came out this year, while still keeping a pretty big screen. So bezels are not tiny like the S7 Edge, but for some reason, the way that these edges are chamfered and then the chamfered edge on the back, it just feels very manageable in one hand, and I can easily just touch it and use it in one hand. And this feels like one of the best built phones that I've ever held. I'm actually super happy. Of course, if other aspects of the phone are not good, build doesn't really make everything, so we still have to look at the other aspects. But in terms of build, HTC kind of knocked it out of the park in this one. I was not expecting this. And as this finishes booting up, you can see that the little capacitive buttons are lighting up. So right now it's preparing the phone, but as I'm touching like the home button and the fingerprint sensor, as it's now a 2-in-1, I can definitely feel the vibration. And I've seen in some videos that the HTC is very loud when it vibrates, and it also has a lot of good haptic feedback. And I'm definitely feeling that here. It feels pretty good, and it's definitely, I can definitely hear it though. It's pretty loud, but I've heard that when you're like getting notifications or something, it's significantly louder than other smartphones. Definitely gonna have to watch out for that. But let's let this finish preparing. All right, finally it is ready to go. Let me set it up quickly. Okay, so now we're gonna test out how fast the fingerprint sensor works to set up and then how accurate it is. Okay, here we go. There we go. Done. Okay, and we're on. Let's try the fingerprint sensor quickly because I just want to see how accurate it is. That was super fast. Let's try it again. Okay, that's extremely fast, probably as fast, if not faster, as the S7 Edge and the Nexus 6P. I'm extremely impressed with that. Let's see if I put my finger on a different angle if it works. Yeah, it worked at a bunch of different angles. That's pretty impressive for sure. And it just awakes the screen, so you could do it while the screen is off and just put your finger on it. That's really cool. And then in terms of how the screen actually looks, screen looks really nice. Let's turn it on full brightness. And right away I can tell this looks very similar to stock Android. There is some bloatware, but it definitely looks very similar to stock Android, even like the notification tray. And HTC actually worked with Google in order to take out duplicate apps if they both have like an email app or other things like that. So I'm very impressed with the Scent skin this year. Very clean, and there is some bloatware, but it's not terrible. In terms of how the screen actually looks, the screen looks really nice. It does not compare to the S7 Edge. The S7 Edge is a lot punchier, brighter. HTC 10 looks a little bit more accurate maybe. And quickly comparing the screen to the LG G5, they're both on full brightness right now. The LG G5 looks significantly brighter, and the colors look a little bit more punchy, but overall they're pretty similar panels. Both of them are not as good as the S7 Edge, but they both look really nice. And the HTC 10 actually looks pretty bright with all these soft boxes on it. The S7 Edge definitely looked brighter in the same conditions, but yeah, the screen looks pretty nice. I'm gonna have to throw on my own wallpaper in order to see how like it compares, as that's how I normally do my reference. But yeah, so far the screen looks pretty good. We're also gonna test out the video that we always look at just to get a better comparison, and we'll also check out the speakers that same way, so you guys can watch the past videos and know how the HTC 10 compares to like the S7 Edge and LG G5. Okay, so far screen looks really nice and the speakers sound good. So now I'm going to cover up the two different parts of the speaker separately so you can kind of see the effect on the audio. Not a huge effect, but it's definitely noticeable. But the screen, looking at it, it looks really nice. So after watching this video, I would say it's very similar to the LG G5 and how that performed, and that was a pretty good panel. So yeah, the screen's very impressive on this. Last year, the M9 kind of looked a bit washed out, and that's definitely not present this year. The screen kind of looks like it's going a little bit more to the warm side on initial impressions. I'm going to watch a few more seconds of this video and then give you guys my full conclusion on the screen. Okay, so my conclusion on the screen is it looks great. Colors are not washed out, as I was saying before. Definitely an improvement over the HTC M9. and it looks a little bit to the warm side. In terms of the speakers, I'm gonna be honest here, I'm a little bit disappointed with HTC. I feel like they kind of nailed it with the boom sound front-facing speakers on the M9, and now we're kind of getting a downgrade by getting one speaker on the side and then one speaker on the front. Definitely not as bad as like the S7 Edge, but I don't know, I kind of always use HTC as a reference of who's doing speakers right and what other brand should copy. Now my go-to is going to be the Nexus 6P, which I feel like that's always a go-to. It has a great camera. The Nexus 6P is an overall great phone. Now it kind of just took a feature that HTC has been known for and a feature that I always recommend the M9 for. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with it. It's not terrible and it sounds good, but it's just not as good as I would have liked it to be honest. In terms of performance, just going back and forth here, it's pretty fluid for sure, and I definitely like the skin on this. You don't really need to throw on a launcher or anything, as it's very close to stock Android. And the capacitive button over here definitely gives really nice feedback. When you touch it, you could definitely feel that you're touching it, which is also nice. And the last thing I want to do before heading out is checking out the camera. So let's do that quickly. Okay, so here we go. The camera app is open. Let's take a few photos. Okay, it takes a photo pretty fast. There's not that much latency in taking the photo. And HDR is on auto here, so let me turn it off. This is a photo without HDR on. It's actually very fast to get the photos. And the camera app kind of reminds me of the iPhone's camera app, but that's not a bad thing. Apple has a very simple camera app going, but yeah, focus is pretty fast. Sometimes you do have to tap to focus though, if you're getting very close up to the object, but continuous focus is relatively fast. And then let's flip this over to the front-facing camera. That is not terrible either. Let me take a photo here. Obviously, you can be the judge of how the camera looks. I'm definitely going to have to test it a bit more before I can definitely say for sure how it is. The camera app actually looks pretty good, and the photos on the screen don't look that bad. They actually look pretty good. So I'm excited to test this for sure. I'll definitely cover it in a more in-depth way in the full review. You can kind of be the judge of how you think the photos are. Obviously, that was just in an in-studio environment with really optimal lighting. So I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to take it at night in low light conditions, and we'll see how it performs, and I'll let you guys know in the full review. Kind of what my thoughts are right now are on the HTC 10. I like the software. I actually love the build. Speakers are kind of disappointing. Performance is not though. Performance is really snappy. Cameras look okay. I can't really tell in the first few seconds that I was using it. And the screen, definitely an improvement over last year. If I had to pick another Android phone to compare it to, I would say it kind of compares to the LG G5. And on the iOS side of things, it kind of looks similar to the iPhone 6s Plus, except for the fact that it has more pixels per inch and it's slightly sharper. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the HTC 10. What do you think about it? Let me know with a comment down below. Are you okay that HTC switched to the speakers? What do you think of the build? How do you think it looks overall? I definitely love it. But yeah, I'll let you guys know more in the full review. Let me know specifics that you want covered in the full review in a comment down below. Go check out all my social medias, also in a link down below. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Thank you guys all for watching. Bye.